Welcome back to the channel. So before we begin the video today, just want to remind everyone to go ahead and like and subscribe, comment down below, check the description of this video and all the other videos on my channel if you're in a position to help the channel grow in any way. I have links there for my Patreon, Teespring, and several other support links, as well as the usual advocacy links. With all that out of the way, folks, thank you for watching today, and let's get on with the video. Welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be our review of the third episode of Dexter: The New Blood. This episode was called Smoke Signals. This was one of those episodes that reminded me a lot of what they did in some of the early seasons, and not always in the best of ways. To start off with, it's a little bit of more of a get to know you and explore personalities, but it there's a whole lot of this Dexter's in trouble, and how's he going to get out of it episodes. It really kind of feels like it's retreading over the same thing again, as far as the Dexter storyline goes. However, the storyline for the secondary characters, or characters other than Dexter anyway, does progress in this one. We get a little bit more with Harrison. We get a little bit more with the sheriff, Angela, her daughter Audrey. She confesses to Harrison that she's not biologically Angela's daughter, that her mother disappeared and that her father died and Angela took her in. A couple of really good scenes with the Deb persona. And we do get to see the killer, the big bad for the season, the killer's, what he does with the, how he kills them. He actually hunts them. We do see that in this episode, so that's an interesting setup. There's one of the moments, the Dexter's in trouble moments. I'm just not a huge fan of those. It's a false sense of tension for me. So we find out that there's a break in the case, and that the natives, the local natives, have put cameras on their land. So there's video footage of Matt Caldwell killing the deer, and there's video footage of someone else in the woods with him. That builds the tension, and Dexter's got to take Harrison to school and do he can't immediately go and chase down this and find out what they actually do and don't know. So you have this whole scene in the middle that should be a scene that's really focused on Dexter and Harrison, and it turns out that you're completely distracted by the scene to come, where he figures out what's going on. Dexter takes Harrison for his first day of school and meets the principal. There's one of those little moments where Dexter doesn't relate to other people well. There's a little sequence in there, but we find out that Harrison is willing to cover, but he also kind of barbs him a little bit, in the fact that whenever he's pointing out one of the shortcomings for them being separated for all this time, he calls him formally Jim instead of referring to him more commonly. He calls him straight out by name instead of even my father or something like that. He doesn't use that. He calls him straight out by name. So, or even referring to him as him. So Dexter goes on and finds out that the cameras that the natives have installed on the reservation are all infrared. So there's no faces. You can't define faces. You can see a little bit of a shadow on it. That's the Caldwell kid's gun. And of course, Dexter identifies it as an AR type gun. Yeah, I don't know about that so much on an infrared, because if it hadn't been fired, it really shouldn't have been that warm. But reasonable suspension of disbelief. It showed up kind of gray, and they identified it by that. And then they show, of course, the other person in the woods, which we know is Dexter. And they ask him about the rifle that person's carrying, and he tells him that it's a Remington 700, and it's a super common rifle. That there, even in this small town, there's over 100 of them that he has sold to locals from the sporting goods store. And working in a sporting goods department myself, I do know that the Remington 700 is a fairly common rifle. It's a little pricey for what it is, but so I mean, it's still a very common rifle. So that is actually accurate. There's nothing wrong with that. The story kind of goes on, and like I said, we find out what the big bad for the season. They take a lot of care to not show you this person yet. He's watching the girl that he kidnapped on the computer, and he reaches over and pushes a button, and the door unlocks to the room that she's in. She goes running out, and he's standing on the balcony of a small little wood, like a log cabin type deal. He's got a rifle, and he shoots her in the back. You never see his face; it's covered with a ski mask. They take great care not to show any of the face itself except for the eyes. And then they immediately go to actually, I think it comes right around the same time in the episode. I'm not sure exactly where the scenes exactly fall, but the daughter of the sheriff is giving Harrison a ride home from school, and the car breaks down, and Harrison has to walk away from where their car is, just down the road a little bit, so that he can get signal to make a call to the local garage. And the billionaire comes up behind her and offers for her to sit in the car with him and wait. It's warm, and her car's not running because it's broken down on the side of the road. And she just kind of goes off on him. The billionaire oil guy. So, she goes off on him for the eco-mentalist crap. Whether he's the red herring or he's the bad guy, whether Clancy Brown is the red herring or the bad guy, or whether they're working together, they're keeping that very close. I still think from the eyes that it's Clancy Brown, but the facial structure right around there and the eye color itself, it could be either one of them. So I don't know. Won't know for sure until they reveal it. You do get some character development with Harrison, that you see that he is not only very smart, but very proud of being very smart. His placement test he had to take to get, so they knew where to put him in school. He scores higher than anybody has ever scored on the placement test in their area. And they think he cheated to do it. They think he used his phone when the teacher was out of the teacher administrator of the test was out of the room for a few minutes. So they make him take the test again, and Dexter doesn't back him up in this situation. Hey, he says, Harrison says, I didn't cheat. Dexter's like, well, okay, then just do it again. You did it once, you can do it again. Which is, Dexter's take on life, I guess. And Harrison does, and he actually brags to Dexter that he scored even higher the second time while under full observation, and didn't cheat. So you find out that that Harrison's pretty outgoing. You found that out kind of in the first episode, but this really pushes that point. And you find out that Harrison also has a sense of justice. There's a kid in the school who's being bullied, and Harrison stands up for him. Really cool scene. I'm not going to spoil that one, but Harrison stands up for the kid, and then the kid calls him back later, and they have a little conversation, and that definitely could be setting up something for later on in the show, but we'll see how that goes. And it really kind of could be setting up Harrison to go one of two ways with it. Again, this part I'm not going to spoil because that's pretty interesting. He could either be manipulating this kid. This kid could obviously be manipulated very easily, or he could be, brought into the fold. Harrison actually kind of turns his back on the popular kids that he had hung out with on the first day, to hang out with this kid that's being bullied and to defend him. So that's something that Dexter never would have done. So where they're going to go with Harrison, I don't know. But he is obviously a lot different than the Dexter character. All the flashbacks that we always saw of Dexter as a kid, he was, his biggest goal was to never be noticed. So that's something very different with Harrison. Harrison obviously wants to stand out. So overall, my ratings on this episode is going to be a B-. It felt like it was playing heavy in the nostalgia, and that's kind of drags this down. It kind of feels like they're retreading over the structure that they had for the seasons in the early seasons. We were only getting one season confirmed. There is some things that I have read online about if it does well, there's options for either occasional movies or possibly even doing another series or possibly even a spin-off series. All of these things apparently have been talked about, but nothing's confirmed. As far as everything official goes, they're saying that we're only getting the 10 episodes that we're getting right now. So we'll see how that goes. You never know. If the money's right, they'll probably stick around. But there was a really interesting episode with element with the natives. The white buck that was killed comes back into the story as kind of a way to bridge Angela being estranged from the native community, as well as a way to pull kind of Dexter and Harrison and Audrey and her kind of together as a unit also. They find out that officially, according to the state, that the animal has to be disposed of once they're done with it in the investigation. And since they've got all the information that they can out of it, they decide to take it to the natives to use to give it a proper native send-off, the way that they would for a white buck. So that's a very interesting element to bring them together. Like I said, I'm going to give it a B-. It's not the best one. It's not as good as the first two. I mean, there may be episodes later that make this one better. It's definitely potential for that. This episode could definitely rise in how I view it, depending on how things go from here on out, and how much, how pivotal this episode, the small things in this episode may be. We do get a new character in it of a true crime podcaster, and we find out that Audrey likes true crime. Of course, that's a big thing now, so it makes sense to have that in there. Whether or not that's going to make life hard for any and all of them, who knows? Well, we'll see how that goes. And with all that being said, folks, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like, a comment. Let me know what you think of the new season of Dexter. Let me know if you've seen this episode, where you would put it with the other two. All of that stuff. As always, check the description below, because my personal links, Teespring, Buy Me a Coffee, Amazon wishlist, all of that stuff is down in the comments, or down in the description, as well as advocacy links. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all be good, y'all be safe, and y'all have a good one.